Good morning. President McLeod-Walls, Senator Blunt, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, students, and guests. I just want to say what an honor and privilege it is to be here with you all this morning and receiving the Citation for Achievement. I'd also like to congratulate my fellow honorees who I've got to know better over the past several days. It's been a real pleasure. I'm not often surprised, but I was shocked when Susan Tiedemann called me to let me know I was being achieved. And even after 3 days, I'm still somewhat in disbelief, but I saw my name on the frame certificate, so I assume, despite how I do this morning, delivering my remarks, they're not going to take it away from me. Before I start my talk, though, I'd like to acknowledge some special people. My mom, who was with me on my first journey to Jewell 25 years ago. My Aunt Janet, who last night told me she's been to all 3 of my graduations and now this. So I'm not exactly sure how I was supposed to take it, but I'll take it as a compliment. And my cousin Ashley, who's been with me all along the way. There are 4 people who are not here with me today that I'd like to acknowledge. 3 of them are KAs, and also former Achievement Day honorees. Bill Dreyer, who's in San Antonio and couldn't be here today, and Russ Creason and Vance Rule, who are no longer with us. These 3 men took a special interest in me many years ago, and I'm incredibly grateful for their mentorship and their friendship. And finally, my dad, who we lost 10 years ago this month, who wrote me a letter every week during my freshman year. Okay, here goes. My remarks this morning will be a summary of just 3 of the many lessons I learned thanks to my experience at attending Jewell. And those lessons are: take care of people, be humble, and take risks. These aren't new ideas or novel concepts, but perhaps the context I put around them will help you connect them to your own experiences. So let's get started with taking care of people. I remember we were in the Florida Everglades for our Outward Bound trip. It's January in South Florida, so it's warm, but it gets a little chilly at night. And something happened, and one of our teammates actually fell into the water. Now, we got her out, but she almost immediately went into a mild state of hypothermia. Of course, we had to get her dry and out of wet clothes, and then we all just surrounded her in a giant, big group hug until she stopped shivering and her body temperature got back to normal. It's a simple story where a person was in need, and we all took action to avoid what could have become a much worse situation out in the elements in the middle of nowhere. When I think about applying that lesson today, it doesn't have to be quite so extreme, but it's a good reminder that if people need help, whether at work, in our communities, in our families, there's always something you can do to take action and make things better. Second is, be humble. I came to Jewell thinking I was a pretty good writer. I'm sure a lot of you did too. I'd even won a few awards in high school for my writing, which actually allowed me to attend a leadership conference right here at Jewell. Well, I was quickly disabused of that notion. And it wasn't just in one class, it was in all of them during my first year. Intro to Business, Responsible Self, Written Communication 101. Whether it was structure, which we had to learn in written comms, connecting your ideas to your conclusions, Responsible Self taught me that, or just getting to the point with facts and not feelings, that was Intro to Business, I had to reevaluate my whole approach to writing. The lesson here is that you may have built a strong skill set, and then the situation changes on you. Don't get defensive and think, I'm good at this, so they must all be wrong. Instead, stop, look around, ask what I can learn from this, and I promise you you'll get better. Dr. Stahl will have to tell you if my writing improved. Finally, take risks. I studied abroad my junior year in England at Harlaxton College. Now, on the whole, going to England for a semester with a bunch of your friends in a country where they speak English doesn't necessarily sound risky. I'll admit it. But that's just the beginning. staring at that customs officer for the first time, asking why you're going to be in the country for so long, only to remember that the letter you were supposed to present in anticipation of this question was actually in your checked baggage, was a little scary. Or hiding in the dining car of a train somewhere in the middle of Europe because you're not exactly sure you have a ticket for this particular journey was a little nerve-wracking. But it really comes down to just making the decision to put yourself out there and being open to whatever might happen. Like going on a trip to that city you really wanted to go to, but no one else wanted to go with you. So you end up going by yourself. You book into a hostel only to find out you're actually sleeping on a boat. But you meet new people, you experience new things, and you have memories for a lifetime. It might sound cliche to consider that one decision can actually change your life or set you on a trajectory that results in everything you've done or achieved 25 years later, but attending William Jewell was exactly that for me. My freshman year roommate, who I was actually just skiing with earlier this week in Park City, so yes, you actually do make friendships for life at Jewell, he was telling me about his internship at Cerner, a company I had never heard of, while we were catching up at the start of our senior year. I applied there amongst a few others, and that was the job I ended up taking. And I actually, here's a little advice for the seniors. I wanted to have a job landed before spring break, so that's one more piece of advice for you. That initiated a 20-year career with a company that had 3,500 associates when I started, and that's nearly the size of the team I manage today, in a company that's grown to almost 30,000 associates worldwide. Along the way, I've taken some risks and actually moved back to England for a few years and also moved to New Orleans, which can actually be a little riskier and scarier than living in London. But with every career progression, I've tried to be humble, check my assumptions around what got me to where I was, might not get me to where I'm going next. And you have to be open to learning and constantly reevaluating yourself and the environment. My entire company is experiencing that right now as we contemplate what it's going to be like becoming a part of Oracle. And I couldn't have done any of this without taking care of people, because I've had people taking care of me. William Jewell has been foundational to my success. I had great teachers, great experiences, great friendships, and great opportunities. And I know one day all of the students in here will look back and say the same. Thank you.